Welcome to Tim's TV morning update. The date is June 4th. I was just listening to the Knowledge of Wharton, which is a radio program that from the Wharton School of Business. They had some experts on talking about the tariffs that the United States has put on Canada and Mexico and the EU. One of the reasons for these tariffs, there's multiple reasons. So we backed out of NAFTA. We're in the negotiation or renegotiation process of NAFTA, and the steel and aluminum tariffs on Mexico and Canada give us greater leverage against both countries. Now, a lot of people are upset. This isn't normal. You hear a lot of liberals in the media. They sound like cowards. They're terrified that the Canadians and the Mexicans may do something. Our economy is significantly larger than both those countries. We make up 80% of Mexican trade. Similar numbers with Canada. They do trade with the rest of the world, but a trade war with us is bad for us, horrible for Mexico, horrible for Canada. Now, saying that, think of a landlord where a tenant threatens to move out. I use this deliberately because Donald Trump is a landlord. He owns buildings. He rents. He sells. He sells apartments. He sells condos. He rents apartments. He runs a casino. If a tenant threatens to move out, the landlord's life will go on. Why? Because the landlord has more power than the tenant. You move out, we'll find somebody else. Now, if any of these liberal experts, I'll call them yellow cowards because they're yellow journalists and they sound like they're cowards because any trade conflict would be horrible. No, we have trade deficits with almost everybody. That means they're getting the best of us. Canada's getting the best of us. Mexico's getting the best of us. China's getting the best of us. A trade deficit, you'll have free traders explain to you how the Chinese making $500 billion dollars off us a year and us losing $500 billion dollars is really good for us. No, it's not. That is somebody who's been paid to explain how losing is good for you because it profits the companies that do business with China, who work in China. Those are people that have been bribed by the Chinese, let's be honest, or the Mexicans or the Canadians to think a certain way. The truth of the matter is, when you're the number one economy in the world, which we currently are, and we're being taken advantage of, you want to address that. Trump was elected to address that. He's addressing that. These tariffs and the renegotiation of NAFTA, they all work together as part of the negotiations. Like if you're in a negotiation with your spouse and everything goes together, I'll do this if you do that. I'll go to your mother's birthday party if you go to mine. So, but if you're not allowed to negotiate, if you're in a position where you don't have the balls to stand up and say, listen, if you don't go to my mother's birthday party, I don't go to yours. And if you're pissed about it, I don't care. Well, guess what? I better go to your mother's birthday party if I want you to go to mine. On the other hand, if you listen to a standard liberal, we can't do anything because something will happen. Let it happen. We've got tariffs on Mexico and Canada. I would think for the good of the Mexican economy and the Canadian economy, that they're going to eventually see it Trump's way. In addition, but oh, by the way, back to the Knowledge of Wharton radio show. They said that the professor from Canada thought that the Canadians are going to try to sit out the negotiations, run the clock out to the midterm elections, and see if the Democrats win, and maybe Trump would be impeached, and they wouldn't have to do any concessions. Was the point of his point of view. The truth of the matter is, Trump is not going to be impeached, and if you think you're going to run the clock out and suck on a trade deal until 2020, feel free. Those tariffs will be imposed, and your economy will have significant problems for the next 2.5 years because Trump ain't going anywhere. And Trump, in my opinion, will get reelected. In addition, I would like to see the Federal Reserve, if they're not already, take into consideration what Donald Trump is doing. He's doing the hard work of these trade negotiations first. An average politician, if he had the guts to do what Trump is doing, would have waited till after the midterm so it wouldn't affect the midterm election. Trump is putting it in before the midterm. So the economy is growing at 3.5%, pushing 4%. It could be at 5% if it wasn't for these trade deals. But long term, these trade deals that Trump are pushing are what's needed for the American economy. So he has the integrity and the strength to do the hard stuff first. Thank you for doing the hard stuff first, Mr. President. Secondly, President Trump, my President Trump, when he put these tariffs on China, you saw North Korea come to the table immediately. When you hear people talk about this trade deal and how horrible it is and nobody does it and Trump's nuts, Trump got North Korea to the table. They're discussing giving up their nuclear weapons. Whether it happens or not, we'll see. But the trade position with China is what brought North Korea to the table. Make no mistake about that. Nobody in the liberal media will tell you that, but it wasn't happening before the trade deals or the renegotiation with China. Trump slaps steel and aluminum tariffs on China. By the end of that day, North Korea wants a meeting. Nobody in the media connects those two. Those two go together perfectly well. You slap trade day, you sign a trade deal that puts sanctions on Chinese steel and aluminum on the morning, and by afternoon, North Korea wants to talk. They go together. Now, you know the liberal media are biased against Trump. They're biased and bigoted against Trump because they don't connect those dots. North Korea is at the table because of the steel and aluminum sanctions. Canada and Mexico will come around because of the steel and aluminum sanctions. And if prices go up in America, that's okay. 1-2%. They go up every year. That happens. If it means millions of more American jobs, I'm willing to pay 1 to 2, maybe 5% more for a truck or a car because it means millions of my fellow Americans are working. And the trade deals that we do get with the rest of the world won't cost me my job or my friends, family, and neighbors my jobs. I trust my president. By the way, if you really want to find out what's going on, Donald Trump wrote a book called The Art of the Deal. You ask for 3 times what you want, and you settle for half, which means you get a lot more than you initially wanted. That's how he negotiates. Read his book. It's pretty easy. I'm Tim. This has been the Morning Update. This is Tim with Tim's TV.